Solving one-step multiplication and division equations. When asked to solve an equation, the goal is always the same, whether the operations are involved are multiplication and division or addition and subtraction. The goal is to isolate the variable, get the variable completely by itself on one side of the equation. In this example, we have 8m equals 72. So we want to get that variable m completely isolated on the left side of the equation. Well, we have to use our inverse operations to do that. Currently, m, that variable, is being multiplied by 8. So the inverse of multiplying by 8 is dividing by 8. So we're dividing by 8 on that left side because that gets the variable m completely isolated, and by itself it undoes that multiplying by 8. But remember, whatever you do to one side of an equation, you must do to the other. So we also had to divide by 8 on the right side of the equation. So 72 divided by 8 gives us 9. So that's our solution, m equals 9. Let's look at some more examples where we have multiplication and division as our operations in the equation. It says to solve, so our goal is to get the variable by itself. So here in all three of these equations, we have the variable x that we're trying to isolate. In the first two equations, the variable x is on the left side of the equal sign, and in the third equation, it's on the right. But in all three equations, we have currently the operation happening to the variable x is multiplication. X is being multiplied by 3 in the first equation. It's being multiplied by 4 in the second equation, and it's being multiplied by 5 in that last equation. So we need to do the inverse or opposite operation of multiplication, which is division. In the first equation, we'll divide by 3. In the second equation, we'll divide by 4. And in the third equation, we'll divide by 5 in order to isolate that variable. So here we're performing that division. So in the first equation, dividing by 3 undoes the multiplying by 3 and gets the variable isolated on the left. But remember, if we divided by 3 on the left, we also had to divide by 3 on the right. So 33 divided by 3 gave us 11. X equals 11 is our solution. In the second equation, we were multiplying by 4 currently with the equation, so we had to divide by 4 to undo it. So that gave us the variable x isolated alone on the left side of the equation. And because we divided by 4 on the left, we also had to divide by 4 on the right. 36 divided by 4 gave us 9, making the solution to the second equation x equals 9. In the third equation, it was currently multiplying the variable by 5, so we divided by 5 on that right side of the equation to get the variable x isolated on the right. But we also had to divide by 5 on the left to keep the equation balanced, so 35 divided by 5 gave us 7. Our solution to that last equation is 7 equals x. So in all three of these equations, the current operation was multiplication, and we had to do the inverse of division and divide by a number on both sides to get the solution. Now let's look at these two equations. The goal is still to solve, so we're trying to get that variable isolated or alone on one side of the equal sign. In the first equation, we have x divided by 5 equals 10. So the variable is currently being divided by 5. In the second equation, we have x divided by 4 equals 36. Currently, the variable is being divided by 4. So we need to do the opposite in both equations of division. We need to multiply. We need to use multiplication. So in the first equation, we'll multiply by 5 to undo that dividing by 5. And we'll multiply by 4 in the second equation to undo that dividing by 4. So when we multiply by 5 in the first equation, it undoes dividing by 5, gets the variable isolated on the left. And if we multiply by 5 on the right, we have 10 times 5 and gives us a solution of x equals 50. In the second equation, we have x divided by 4, so we multiplied by 4, which undid that division and gave us our variable isolated over here on the left, x. Then we did 36 times 4. We had to multiply by 4 on the right side of the equation, which gave us 144. So the solution to the second equation is x equals 144. So whether you're adding or subtracting, or now in these examples, now we're solving one-step equations with multiplication and division. Again, the key things to remember are to use those inverse operations and make sure you do them to both sides of the equation so that you can find your solution.